Hello, dear Stitchers. It's Judy Whitman with JBW Designs, and welcome back to Flosstube number 33. This is actually my second take of this Flosstube. It's actually a Saturday. I started filming yesterday and got through 45 minutes and it quit. And so that was a little discouraging, to say the least. So I'm starting over, and we're going to pray that everything goes through, because I'm technically unsavvy about trying to fix things. So I have a lot of topics to talk to you about today. We have new lighting. I'm not sure if it's good or not. Well, it's a test. We're still working on it. My assistant was up here adjusting things for me, so we'll hope that it works. So I have many topics to cover today. First of all, I want to thank all of those who have watched the last videos. I'm stunned because we actually had more people watching the last video than are subscribed, and I keep forgetting to say to you, please subscribe if you're enjoying them. I really appreciate it. So I want to talk about some of the comments from the last video. I want to talk about museums, because that was one of the topics that we covered in the last video. I'm going to continue the discussion on my design process, because I realized when I looked back at last time's video that I only got so far with that. I showed you the evolution of a design, but now I'm going to take you through the next steps to the actual publication. And then one of the topics I'm going to discuss today is what to do if you want to be a designer. I'm not sure if there are any of you who would like to take that route, but I'll just go through quickly some ideas or suggestions that I have for you. And then I have more models to share with you. I have my Valentine tray. I have a display back there on the floor, and I'll tell you about that. And I have more designs to show you and how I work through the process. So let's start with comments from the viewers, the followers. One of the topics that I brought up last time was I was hoping that we could gather a list of museums here in the US that have samplers that, if you're in that area, you could go to visit. And so several people wrote, and I'm grateful for that. And I've started a list. It's a small list, but hopefully each week we'll add a few more museums to the list. So these are the ones that were suggested. The Lightner Museum in St. Augustine, Florida. And I actually have been to that museum, and I did not remember seeing samplers, but it's very possible that I missed them. That was from Donna. And then Becky suggested a great idea. She said, actually, the Smithsonian has a virtual display of samplers, so you can look at them anytime, day or night. Carol, let's see, no, I'm sorry. Another Donna suggested the Henry Ford Museum in Dearborn, Michigan, and also the Museum of Decorative Arts in Salem, North Carolina. And I thought that was a great idea. I have been to that museum also, and the Henry Ford, and they're both interesting. I think I skipped one here. Lois suggested the DeWitt Decorative Arts Museum in Williamsburg, and there's also a folk art museum. And I have a question for you. I thought that, has the folk art museum been renamed, or are those two separate museums? I have not been to Williamsburg in a long time, but the Folk Art Museum is fabulous. The art on display is very inspiring, and I would love to go to the DeWitt. And then I think that are the only museums that we have on our list so far. So if you have others, let's see if we can add to that list. Let's see, what else did I want to cover with you? I've got so many things here. Let's move on to the designing part of it. And when I stopped, I felt like I showed you, for instance, the Chintz alphabet and the evolution of that as I was charting it, but I never talked to you about color selection. And that, of course, is done after the design is charted, and that actually is one of my very favorite parts of designing. I usually use DMC, or I use the hand-dyed fibers, Classic Colorworks, Weeks, and Gentle Arts. So I'll go into my storage closet where I keep all of the fibers, and I'll look at the color code that I've selected, and then I start pulling colors. And I did want to mention one thing that's kind of interesting in a way. When I chart, incidentally, I chart on an iMac, the whole DMC color palette is listed, along with Anchor and others, but I work off of DMC. But often the DMC colors that you choose to chart with do not translate into the little color square that you're using when you're charting. So rather than saying, oh, I don't choose the colors beforehand, I just look through the palette, I say I need a couple of blues, I need some pinks, whatever, and I choose colors that are pleasing to me to chart with. I'm not looking at the numbers at all. But after the design is charted, then I will take that chart, and I'll give you again an example of the Chintz alphabet. I'll take this over to my desk, and I may pull out 30 or 40 colors and try to figure out which ones I think blend and look the best. Another person asked me about, after that final chart is done, do you ever make changes? And the answer is absolutely yes. So even though I might have charted it in this form, once I start to stitch, I might be moving an element, I might be adding a few more things, I might actually be changing a color that I originally thought I was going to use. So I go back many, many times to add to this original chart. So and because I stitch the models myself, it's easy to do that. It's easy to come back to the computer. So I want to show you some other designs that I have done that use quite a range of colors. And one of them, let's see if I've got the book here. So I'm sorry this is out of season, but it was a good example. So the little drummer boy, you can see that he has quite a number of colors in this design. This is from the Sing-a-Song series. And so once again, I chart him, and then I go and choose all the colors. And this particular design has quite a long color code. So when I'm listing the colors, I'll tell you I'll give a description of the color. In other words, dark green. And then the color name, if it is a hand-dyed fiber, the company that makes that fiber, and then always a DMC number. So I'm always giving you equivalents for DMC because not everyone works with the hand-dyed fibers. So as an example of trying to choose colors that I think are just right. And as I say, I often go in, I might start out with one green and say, that isn't looking right, and go back. I want to also mention, and I forgot to do this in the beginning, that how I design is my own method. There are no handbooks that I know of that tell you how to design, how to publish, how to exhibit, etc. So I think each one of the designers are pretty much self-taught. We just experiment to see what works for us. And even though I know many, many designers, I have never really said to them, how do you do it? Because I feel that's a private matter. We each have found our own way, and it's none of my business really how they do it. We all find what works best. So here's an example of another design that had quite a few colors in it, and it was We Three Kings. And this was fun. I loved the blues and the purples. And once again, once I chose the colors, then I have to write the text. And once again, I'm going to give you the name of the color, or the color description, the color name. This one was Collards. It's made by Weeks Dye Works, and here's the equivalent. So it's really fun to choose a design that has lots of colors in it. Now, many of my designs don't. So if you look at my French country designs, those are all worked in one color. The designs in the round are all worked in one color, and many of my alphabets are. And that's just as fun. I'll choose 8 or 10 colors. I'll look at them in different lights and try to figure out, all right, which color is my favorite. And sometimes I start stitching and I don't like it, or I don't like the fabric I've chosen, so I go back. So it's an experimental process. So here are a few more little tiny ones. This is from the 12 Days of Christmas. And so once again, I would have been choosing a number of colors for the little drummer boy, for the Lords a Leaping, little reindeer design, and the 12 drummers drumming. So it's fun. I love that part of it. So I want to, let's see, I want to go through kind of what happens after you've stitched your model. And that is, as I mentioned last week, it is a process. So after the model is stitched, I write the text. And of course, that's all the wording that's in the book. I'm going to be writing special instructions. For instance, in this We Three Kings designs, I used some backstitch lettering. I attached some beads, so I'm going to tell you where the beads are placed. All of those things, maybe I've used one ply to do smoke out of a chimney. So I need to tell you all of those things as part of the instructions. I also need to tell you the stitch count, of course. 1 second here. I get to talking rapidly and lose my voice. I need to tell you the fabric, the finish sizes, and all the product sources that I used in that design. So after the text is written, then I send the color chart to my assistant, Dawn. And Dawn converts all those colors into symbols. And she sends that chart back to me, and we both proof it to see if it matches the original. And I want to address the topic of proofing. And I've talked about this before, and how hard it is. I think probably every designer, I just saw one post recently, has had the experience of having somebody write and say, "Oh, Judy, did you know?" It kind of makes my heart fall to my stomach when I get that note, because trying to correct a mistake that we've made actually requires many steps. We try to post it on our website, on our Facebook page. Sometimes I even put a sticker in the book to say, you know, such and such needs to be done this way. Sometimes I even go through and hand write a number in here to correct it. But I can tell you, and you know this, that we would never do this on purpose. We're all human, we make mistakes, and we don't want to make you mad. We want you to be happy. And so we're just trying to do our best. And so I would say, if you find an error, be patient, be kind, and we'll be very appreciative when you do it in a very nice manner. So after that chart is charted in symbols, then of course we prove that to make sure that that is correct. And then it goes to my graphic designer. And I have one that I've worked with for years. Her name is Kim. And so what Kim is going to be doing is she's going to be doing the layout of the book. She's going to be photographing the models. We'll talk about the color of the print we want at the top. And then often she'll send that initial layout that she's done back to me, and I often have changes in either the coloring or the placement of the model on the front, or sometimes there are several models that are photographed and I'll switch them around. So it takes a while. And so from the time that I finish a model, that's what I'm working up to. So I'm getting ready to do the Nashville show at the beginning of March. So I'm trying to leave the whole month of February to get my new books published. So I have 5 new designs and a kit. And so the first 2 weeks, I've got Kim, the graphic artist, working on the layout of the book and all of the writing, of course, and the instructions that go inside. And then that goes back and forth quite a few times, actually. There are usually errors in that, or as I say, placement. So we're making a lot of changes. And then then the booklet goes to the printer. And the printer that I have here in town, again, I've worked with for a long time. They're wonderful. I'll give you an example of something that happened a year ago and how receptive they were. It's a small company, but the owner, Brian, and his daughter came over to the house. This was a year ago. So they published my first antique red sampler booklet. And we realized after it was printed that somehow they had not put the writing on the inside of the front and the back cover. And so they had to reprint all the covers, and the charts for that particular booklet are inserted in the cover. So we had to take all the ones that I had already assembled apart and put the new ones together. So Brian came over on a Sunday morning, and he and his daughter and I took them all apart and put them back together. So that's when you know you've got good people on your team that will help you in a moment of crisis, which it was a crisis at that time, but we figured it all out. So what is behind me here, you're probably wondering. I don't know if I move this over. You can probably see what's on the floor over there. So I'm going to do another booklet of antique red samplers. There are 5 of them. I don't know that you can see all 5. But what I'm doing is I'm getting everything, all the props ready to take over to Kim's house probably tomorrow or Monday. And so I'm using my redware, some antique linens, some antique other dishes and buttons and floss, etc., to use in the photograph for the cover of the book. So that is what's over in that direction. Let's see. I wanted to talk to you before I get to my designs about what if you wanted to be a designer yourself? What are some things to think about? And let's see, where do I start? First of all, there are hundreds of designers out there, and not all of them are going the route that I am, which is I design, I publish in a printed form, and I send the printed form, the booklets, to my shops and my distributors, which I'll address in a minute. Some of them, of course, are doing PDFs only, and they're selling on Etsy or on their websites. So there are many different business models to go down that road if you are if you're a designer. The first thing I would ask you to think about, and I taught a class on this a couple years ago at Needlework Galleria. I am really sounding like a horse today. A very horsey horse. Horse. So, sorry about that. So, I want you to think about the look that you have. What look are you going to establish for your design company? And I think it's really important to try to find a look that is different from the other designers that are out there, which is really challenging. You have to find a name for your company and something that's memorable. And I can give you an example of what it was like when I started out. When I first started exhibiting, I would be in this tiny little booth in the last row of the exhibit hall. We used to do them in convention centers. And every shop owner that came in the booth, I would say, have you ever heard of JB? Or I would like you to meet me, and this is my company, JBW Designs. So you're wanting to know if they even know who you are. So it takes a long time to get name recognition. And I believe today I am still finding people, probably through maybe the Flosstubes, who have never really been introduced to my design. So I'm excited about that. I hope that's true. You need to create a logo. Do you have enough designs to be out there establishing your company? And I do think you need to start with a collection. Somebody else gave me a very wise bit of advice, and that is stay true to yourself. Because as the cross-stitch world evolves, there are trends in designing that are different than when I started out. And there's a real maybe tendency to say, gosh, that's darling. Maybe I should go down that path. And somebody said to me once, stay true to yourself. So once you've established a look that is you, just stay with it. You don't need to go down and pretend to be somebody else. And I love that advice. It's probably good for everything in life, right? How are you going to sell your products? Are you going to, as I said, Etsy? Are you going to sell to shops directly? Are you going to sell retail or wholesale or both? And I want to talk to you a little bit about that because I do mine one way, but other designers have different philosophies. So I'm always trying to support my shops that have supported me through the years. And so I sell my designs directly to the shops, or I sell through distributors. But other people have decided not to go that route, and I also exhibit. That I want to talk to you too about the distributors and what does that mean. So we have a number of companies in our industry that distribute designers' patterns, and it's an awkward situation because we sell our books at wholesale to the shops and they sell our booklets at retail. The distributors also sell our books to the shops. And you're going to ask, why would you go that route? Well, there are a couple of reasons. One is that there are so many designers in our industry. And I asked my Huffman Distributing in Birmingham, Alabama is one of the largest. And I asked my contact there this last month, Cheryl, I said, how many designers, out of curiosity, are you carrying right now? And she said, well, we issued checks last month to 160. There are more designers, but if they don't reach a certain level, they don't send a check out. I'm guessing there are hundreds of designers out there. So now think about the shops when they order booklets and they've got, they need to order that day from 40 different designers. Rather than ordering through us directly, which is an advantage to me because then the wholesalers take a percentage, or the distributors take a percentage of our wholesale price. So I'm better off to sell to the shops directly than to go through a distributor. But I can't live without the distributors because so many shops order through them. So can you see kind of the dilemma we're in? And it's just how it is. It's just what it is. And I'm grateful for the distributors because they distribute to shops all over the world. The last thing I want to mention is exhibiting. If you decide to exhibit, in other words, you're going to a retail or wholesale show, it's actually quite costly to do that. And so if you think about going to Nashville, sometimes I have to fly depending on the timing or drive. So you've got the cost of the travel, you've got your hotel costs, the cost of exhibiting, and your food, etc. So a lot of designers have to think about that. Can they sell enough at the show to cover their costs? And each year we have new designers at our shows. Some of them do fabulously from the very moment they step in the door, and others I'm sure are struggling to meet their costs. So that's another factor. All right, let's move on to models. So let me move this over. See if I can get it in the photo here. So I saw a picture on Instagram, let's see, this past week of someone who had done a tiered tray and they had put Valentine designs on it. And I thought, oh, that's such a good idea. I love that. So I gathered as many red and pink things as I could. And so I'll tell you a little bit about what's on the tray. So first of all, I have a collection of redware. So I have a little redware picture that's propping up this one, which a lot of these I showed to you last week. So this is French Country Amour. Oh, I forgot to grab that model. Oh, shoot, it's on the wall. Anyhow, I have a model of a sampler, a simple sampler, that was stitched by Ada Roper in 1894. And the actual model of the original design is probably maybe 6 by 8 inches, but I decided to stitch a miniature version of that, and that's what that looks like. It's mounted on a little horn book. This is Love in the Round, stitched over 1. I have a little darling pink velvet strawberry that sits here, and then I don't know if you can see, I put a little antique towels on both the top and bottom shelf. And then on the bottom shelf, we have the Chintz alphabet kit. Actually, this is the kit without the alphabet, just some designs. I think I showed that to you last week. I found a darling little floss holder that I thought looked cute with the colors in here. Oh, this I found. I was wandering around the office the other day and I'd forgotten I did it. This will probably have a little shine on it here. See if I can get it. No, can't get it out of the way. So it is the center of French Country Love, and it's just the center of the design is stitched, and it's mounted in a little paperweight. Oh, I have pink scissors up on the top of the tray and red scissors down here. Here's the little scissor fob that goes with Ooh La La. Here is the Love Always kit that I showed last week. Oh, I've got another really cute pink pin cushion and strawberry that I found at an antique store that looked just right in there. Here is With Love that I showed last week. Prop that over there. And this is Love in the Round, worked over 2. And actually, I don't think I showed this to you. This actually, ooh, almost knocked the whole thing over. That would have been fun. At the rate I'm going with my filming here. So it was mounted in a darling little jar that I found at Hobby Lobby that had the ceramic jar that had hearts on it. So that's that. So that's my little display for Valentine's Day. Oops, there's one more hiding back here. Here's the Ooh La La. Oops, the scissor pocket. So we've got that going in our display also. All right, so the books that are in that display I'm going to show to you quickly are Love in the Round, French Country Love, that was the one that I used in the paperweight, French Country Amour, With Love, Chintz Alphabet, and Ooh La La. I kind of flew through those, didn't I? All right, so my next topic is I want to talk to you about how I design things in the round. And I thought, since you enjoyed last week, I have to thank you if I didn't in the beginning. I had so many wonderful, kind, and thoughtful comments, and I'm so appreciative of that. I love that you take time to write. I love hearing from you, so I can't thank you enough for doing that. So let me tell you about the evolution of the round designs. And as you know, I start out, I always keep everything in a folder. And I want to talk to you, let me grab this here, about, whoops, here we go, about the very first, got to put things back together here, in the round design. So it was Rabbits in the Round. And this was so much fun to put together. So what inspired it? I saw a piece of fabric that had rabbits everywhere on it. And I thought, oh, wouldn't that be cute? And so what I like to do when I design something like this is I'm going back, you can see my books in the background there. I'm going through all of my antique sampler books, and I have many, and I'm looking through the samplers for a sampler that has a rabbit on it, and then I will try to chart that rabbit and try to see how I can fit it into the design. And then if you, let me take off the lid of this. Actually, I did a little Easter display with that last time. So on the inside of the lid, I do an extra little rabbit design, and now we have a little rabbit with an umbrella. And I don't know why I love rabbits so much. As I've mentioned to you before, I have them all over my office. Just like them. So this box actually was finished professionally. It is a paper mache box from Hobby Lobby. It was covered with a very thin layer of fabric, and I believe she probably used a spray-on adhesive. I've tried that to attach the fabric to the box. And then the lid of the box, she did a round disc like I often do, and then just put a twisted cording around the outside. She used scrapbook paper to do the silhouette of the rabbit, and then as I showed you, she also used that scrapbook paper on the inside of the lid. So I love how it turned out. So how did that design come about? Let's see, my notes are out of order because I put everything away yesterday thinking the video was going to work, and of course it didn't. So what do I do? All right, let me grab a couple sheets here. So I started out just charting as many rabbit shapes as I could. And what I often do is, I think I did on this one, is I mark the width and the height of each rabbit because I'm trying to figure out how to fit them into the circle. So as I'm charting around and inside the piece, do I have room for that shape in the design? So you can see, here's another page with many antique rabbits on it that I charted that I thought I could use in the design. So here is how I start. I actually chart a circle on the perimeter, for the perimeter of the design, and then I start filling in with the rabbits, and between the rabbits I put leaves and flowers, and that's what the background is. Incidentally, I have seen some gorgeous models of this piece. In fact, the other day, Carol from Cross My Heart posted a picture of her rabbits in the round, and she had stitched the rabbits in gray, and she had stitched the background in a second color. It was striking. So watch my Friends of JBW Designs Facebook page, because people often post pictures of designs that they've stitched in different color combinations. So the rabbits in the round, all right, here's the third version, and you'll see on my pages that I'm saying to myself, all right, you need to move this image down, you need to work on this image. Obviously I didn't like the way it looked. Let's see if I can find another page for you here. But as I'm going through, just like I showed you with the development of a design last time, I'm making notes to myself. So here, up here, I didn't like the shape of this rabbit, so I just penciled in what I wanted to change. Here, I wanted to change the shape of this rabbit. So it's very easy to do on the computer. So eventually, by the time I'm done, I have a complete chart, and then I go back after I'm stitching and move things. And it's a process, right? But it's fun. It's like putting together a puzzle. So I want to show you what happened then after rabbits, because you know me, I love my series. So after rabbits, the next design that came along that was in the round, and you may have seen these before, but it's kind of fun to hear about the evolution. The lid on this one, I'll show you the box, is very, very tight. So this is what Kitty's in the round looks like. And again, I looked back through old samplers. Actually, I looked back in some of my designs because I have used cats in other designs, and I might take some of those and use them again. And I'll show you the inside of the box. There's an extra little kitty cat design. So once again, I used a paper mache box from Hobby Lobby, scrapbook paper for the inside of the base, scrapbook paper on the inside of the top, and another piece of scrapbook paper just glued around the rim with a little bow on it. And this particular design has been worked over 2 threads. And here is the little kitty cats worked over 1. And again, I've seen this in many color combinations. And this is what the booklet looks like. I don't know, did I ever show you the rabbit booklet? I think I did. That's what the rabbits in the round looks like. This was stitched on, what was it stitched on? A cream 32 Belfast linen. This was the kitty cats. So on the inside of the booklet, I show you the box and also the design over one. So if you do cats, you must do dogs, right? So the same thing happened. Let's see, I was going to show you. Let's see if I can find the beginning of the cat design. As I say, I put things away and then I had to start again. So I started out, you can see it in the first sample, I had quite a few, but I moved them around. I decided I don't like the shape. I think they're too large. So let's see if I can show you an example of. Here I'm working along. This is number 7 in the, of the trial, trying to get them all right. So that was the design process for In the Rounds. So let me show you what the dogs look like. All right. Oh, I didn't show you the rabbits over one. That's the rabbits over one. All right, so what do the doggies in the round look like? It's so this design in its finished state looks like this. I've worked it on white over 2, and I've also worked it on a red linen with white floss over 1. I love the over 1 because it really looks kind of almost like a tapestry when it's done. And that's just finished into a little hanging ornament. And once again, this is a paper mache box. This was just spray painted, the base of it. And the inside of it used scrapbook paper. I finished this with just a plaid paper and cut a strip to go around the edge and just added ribbon. So I love that finish. I think it's quite unique. So that is the doggies in the round, and that is what that pattern looks like. Let's see if there's, oh, here's more pictures on the inside. So I have one more in the round to show you. I've shown you quite a few over the last videos, but sometimes it's fun. I have new viewers who haven't understandably seen the earlier video, so this might be new to them. I also did an alphabet in the round, and this was, remember I said last week I love it when my customers, my shops give me ideas, and this was from Anne of Dying to Stitch in Virginia, and she said, Judy, why don't you do an alphabet? And I thought that was a great idea. So I found letters from actually many different alphabets, and I was looking for letters that had curves to them because it needed to be graceful and it needed to fit in a circle shape. And so it took a while to fit them all together, but this is one of the models. This is mounted on a wooden box from Hobby Lobby, and it's from their woodpile collection. They're very reasonable. They're only $5. They come in an unfinished state, a brown, kind of a tan wood. So I spray paint them. The color I found that I like is a chalk paint. So I just spray paint the inside of the box and also the lid. And the inside of the lid, I just did a little ABC for the inside. And then I always try to find either scrapbook paper or a nice pretty piece of fabric to put on the inside of the box. Actually, this design would look quite cute on my little Valentine tray, don't you think? So this is what Alphabet in the Round looks like. Let's see, and I think you've seen this before. We actually showed it at Christmas time because it's been worked in Christmas colors. So I've worked it in reds and pinks. Somebody I know, I think I told you one time, worked it, and the letter of her last name was K, and so she just stitched the K in a different color. It was quite striking, and I thought that was such a neat idea. All right, so I'm done with showing models, and I have a couple more things that I want to talk to you about. Let's find my notes here. There are a couple of shops and Flosstube people that I want to mention. The shop that I want to mention first is Just Stitching in Strongsville, Ohio. It's owned by Sheri, and Sheri actually has had quite a setback the last month or so. She was out walking her dogs and fell on the ice and got a big gash on her forehead and injured her arm. I know she had to be in a sling. She had to close her shop for several weeks. And I had been writing to her, and she said she was unable to go to Nashville this year, which made me really sad because she's always gone. But of course, she's lost a lot of income. So I thought I would take a minute today to mention her shop. She carries a lot of cross-stitch materials and fabrics and fibers and books, etc. And products is the word I was looking for. So I'm hoping that if you need something, even if you, losing it again, don't live close by, that you will give her a call or email her and tell her what you need and let her know that we're trying to support her. We want to keep her going. There's another shop that I want to mention that actually opened, I believe, a month or so before the last Nashville show, which was 2 years ago. And it's for the Stitcher's Soul, and it's in Glenmont, New York. And Terry is the owner, and she has a new, and of course she must have had a rough time because she's been dealing with COVID and not having the shop open. I think she's doing very well. One of the promotions that she's doing that I actually posted, I think, on my friend's page, is that she's doing an Ornament of the Month club, and she's using 12 of my designs, and she's finishing each one in a very unique way. So I'm encouraging people to check out her website. I also want to mention Sheri with Colorado Cross Stitcher. I've been writing back and forth to her. She has wonderful videos. She's doing a winter, I don't know if it's a challenge or a retreat. I'll have to go back and watch again. But I wrote to her and said I'd be glad to send her products to give away, not only for her channel, but also for this event that she's doing. So watch that. I've given away several things to her. And then I have some exciting news, which was supposed to happen yesterday, but we had to delay it. So Annie of the Proper Stitcher and I have corresponded a lot since we met on Flosstube, but we've never met in person. And her daughter is going to attend a college in Michigan that's only an hour from here. And so our plan was she was going to bring her daughter up for the weekend, and she and I were going to have a day together. And we were going to go to a cross-stitch shop nearby. We were going to go out for lunch, and then I was going to take her to an antique store. And that didn't happen because we got 10 or 11 inches of snow this week. If you could look out the windows, you could see the trees are just covered with snow. It's beautiful. It's been sunny today. So we've had to delay our meeting. But thankfully, I think it's going to happen again if the snow gods cooperate. They are going to try to do a shortened version next weekend. So next Saturday, Annie and I are, hopefully, keep your fingers crossed, planning an outing, and we get a chance, I hope, to spend the day together. So I'm really looking forward to that. So a couple quick things. I had several prize winners from my last video who I've not heard from. And I want to remind you that the best way to reach me is through my email, and it's judy@jbwdesigns.com. I'm not very good with the instant messaging. I don't know why I don't get those as regularly. They're hard for me to access. So please do the email, and I'm going to give you the names of the people that I'm waiting to hear from. Actually, one gal, it was Viv's Crafts, said, "Oh, I won. I'll send you my address," and for some reason I never got it. So Viv, try again. Ida Brandon, if you would like to receive a prize, any of the designs that I showed in that last video, and Lori McNeely, please contact me. I'd love to give those away. So I have new prize winners for this week. I choose the prize winners in this method. You have to be a subscriber. You know you have to be 18 or older. And I do a random number generator. It tells me how many comments I got in the last video. And I chose 3 winners. So the winners for this week, and again, you can choose any of the designs that I showed in this week's video, are Mary Avaus, A-V-A-U-S, Lana Wolf, and Becky Koh. And that her last name is spelled K-O-H. So please contact me. I'd love to send out prizes. So one quick few more things. The email, that's the best way to reach me. I'm on Instagram, and it's Judy.Whitman. I have a website shop. So if you go to my website, jbwdesigns.com, I do carry my older patterns on my website. And when I was talking about being loyal to my shop owners, I try to keep my newer patterns not for sale retail, but I try to keep those just for my shop owners. And so you're always welcome to go there and see if there are any patterns that you've been looking for that you might be able to order directly. Okay, my inspirational thought of the day is I want you to have a happy Valentine's Day in another week here, 9-10 days. And also I want to, hopefully you're enjoying the Olympics. I don't know about you, but I love the Olympics because I get to stitch for hours every night and be entertained. So I hope that's true for you. So I look forward to hearing from you. Please write. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.